Hey, hey, what's up? It's a Wednesday. You know what that means. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of Studio1Sports.com, and I'm here with Mr. Robert Karplis, WD Creative underscore ish on X. Robert, welcome back, my friend.
Man, it is good to be back. It's good to see that we're now back integrated on X. I didn't have to do that crazy double posting thing. It worked.
Nice.
Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. Yes, I am back. Apologies for being out for the last several days, but man, it feels good to be sitting back in this chair talking to a very close to the camera Dominic D'Angelo. There you go. Hey, look at that. I can't see up your nostrils. That's a benefit. What's also a benefit is saying hi to some of the folks joining us here today. Says, "Was up? How was the masked man? I mean, Robert's time off. How dare you, sir? That is unsubstantiated. I wish I could jump that high." Cammy Star says, "After morning all." Wrestling Old Head says, "Good day all. The weather's getting better, and I'm ecstatic God dang it, or excited."
Are you excited, Robert?
I'm
I
excited to
am.
say, Cammy Star pointing out who is that stranger on the other screen. Yes, I am. I am back. I was out for my daughter's bat mitzvah for a few days. That was it was nice. The only major wrestling presence there, obviously, Booker Raton Championship Wrestling Commissioner Matthew Mashler was
Mm.
physically there, and good friend of the show, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, sent along a nice video message.
How about the he's is the nicest guy in wrestling. That is true.
He is terrible. The things he said were incendiary, made
Oh.
13-year-old children cry. Dre Owen says, "Hello, RNI. Dynamite has the barn burner of the Babes of Wrath versus Mega
Mega
Bad
Bad? Is
tonight."
that what their name is?
I don't know. I don't know who Mega Bad is.
Megadeth?
Megadeth. Caspian07 says, "Robert, it's been so long since we last saw you. I can't remember your face anymore." Yeah, me neither. Wanna Breeze says, "Hello, and I'm so excited that Robert is back." Um, and then Wrestling Old Head says, "Congrats. Did you resist the urge to book a BRCW angle at the festivities?" So I did.
Mm.
However, this coming Sunday, BRCW Birthday Bash, it will be live here in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida. If you're able to attend in person, it will be streaming on the interwebs. Otherwise, huge show. Main event is the dastardly BRCW World Champion, who genuinely sucks. Steve Macklin
Wow.
will be defending against Matt Taven,
This Matt
sexy Matt Taven, with his
is he
saxophonist.
does he have a saxophonist?
He does have a saxophonist, and the Sons of Boca, Cesar Bononi and Noah Kakoa will be taking on the Righteous.
I need to see this. Matt
And
Taven.
a women's it's not a battle royal, because I
Okay.
don't like battle royals. It is a women's rumble situation. I like the entrances. I like that you get the countdown. I like that flow. So we're not doing a battle royal. We're drawing names. We're doing it old school. We're getting out the tumbler.
Is it officially called something, Robert? Did you come
It
up with the
it
name?
is it is, but we've changed it 4 different times. So I don't remember exactly what we've ultimately gone with. But whatever it is, it's it's gonna be good. But what's gonna be good is all the wrestling news that I've missed this week, Dom.
You
So
missed
anything
quite a
of
bit.
note over the last few days? So I definitely watched SmackDown, watched Raw. One of the nice things about the WWE, and it's where you really appreciate the artistry and craftsmanship of what they do, because they really are operating with that in net, is that Bronson Reed situation
Yeah.
where Bronson Reed was hurt in a match where they needed an outcome. And in that moment, you knew that there were conversations going on with the folks in Gorilla and the creative team of, all right, it's got to be either main event Jey Uso or the original El Grande Americano, who's got to win to get that last spot in the Elimination Chamber. So it's not only get this note to these guys, they got to come up with a finish on the fly in the match that makes sense, but also, now what are we doing with Jey Uso? What did we originally have planned with Jey Uso? How is this impacting the next week, month, 6 months of TV that we had laid out with Jay? It's why wrestling is truly remarkable in terms of storytelling.
Right. It's like that. You have to have that ability to pivot on a dime like that when somebody gets hurt. It's unfortunate because Bronson Reed, he's suffered some injuries. He was just out with a long-term injury too, and so it sucks to kind of see him put in that position because he would have been fun in the elimination chamber, no doubt about it.
He absolutely would have been, and also when you construct a match like an elimination chamber, you're building it based on who those folks that are in that match. And Bronson Reed is obviously a very large anchor. He's a physical bruiser who is going to be in there. So they were probably working out some spots and ideas around a guy based on his size, his strength, that he was going to be that Vader, that Bam Bam Bigelow. And now that guy is not there. And all due respect to Jey Uso is not an apples to apples replacement.
Not whatsoever. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm hoping it's just kind of like a little Jay makes an appearance here and then they correct course again and put him back on the tag team track because I just don't think he fits right now, Robert, and like singles stuff. So, yes, another thing you happen to not talk about that I've been wanting to cover with you is the Janelle Grant situation. She had a press conference on Friday. I talked about it with Scott Chaplin on Working Stiff for a little bit, and
Look at you guys.
How about that, huh? And Scott pitched the notion that this could be an indicator that she's ready to lose this case. But Robert, obviously you're a lawyer. Wanted to get your legal perspective on it all and what you kind of think this means and what you thought about what she had to say as well.
So I'm looking at it now, and it looks like the press conference was related to NDAs.
Correct.
That the idea is that the NDA had been weaponized in some form or fashion. Is that generally the gist of it?
Yeah, they covered that a lot. And the current, she actually took some notion, like some spots here too at the current WWE product as well and what they were doing.
She took some shots at the WWE in terms of what?
In terms of them referencing potential storyline that tied to her situation with Vince McMahon, the Dominic Mysterio with the text messages from Liv Morgan from last year. She didn't reference that outright, but she did say that, some of this stuff was playing out on TV, basically implied that. And then another thing, too, is that she cares for people that are still in that situation that are kind of under high tense situations still there. So
I'm gonna try to thread it. And again, I haven't really had a chance to dig in on this too terribly, but this is off the top of my head. Generally, the concept of a non-disclosure agreement, in theory, is that it's in most instances it's the two parties want to discuss something that is confidential that they do not want out there in the general public, and that there's ample consideration being given by both parties to conceal that particular piece of information. Where I typically see it in a corporate environment is company A wants to purchase products from company B. They want to be able to discuss fully, I want to be able to use these products. Here's how my network and systems work. Explain to me how your products work. Explain to me your pricing that you're going to give me that our competition doesn't need to know about. And it's under NDA because it's highly specific. It's not something that you would get if you're going to go buy a car. Anybody can go and it's the car is a car is a car. But if you're buying something really highly narrow and specific, and I'm using a completely different industry than I'm in, but I'm going to use the home security space. So if you are ADT, and ADT is saying we are going to configure a security system for your corporate headquarters, we need to understand the schematics of your building, how your alarm systems work, what your codes are. Really sensitive material that needs to be protected under a non-disclosure agreement. In this instance, there's also non-disclosure agreements that exist with employers and employees, because as an employee, you are privy to matters that are not public. And especially when you work for a publicly traded company, that can have material impact on a company's stock. So when I was at WWE, I was obviously under an NDA, even though I wasn't planning on discussing this anyway. But if I had proprietary information about, say, like at one point while we were there, and we're long past the NDA lapse time, there were conversations about Brock Lesnar possibly coming back while we were there. And we mapped out some ideas for him. If I, in that safe space where, hey, we can discuss whatever we want, I were to let it get out that we're having conversations with Brock, that would A, impact our negotiations with Brock Lesnar, and B, if all of a sudden Wall Street thinks Brock Lesnar is absolutely going to show up, it may impact the stock price. And if Brock doesn't show up, you've now harmed that company. In this particular instance, from what I understand, Janelle Grant signed an NDA based on the relationship that she had with Vince McMahon. And in exchange for not disclosing what was going on, she was being duly compensated for that. In that particular instance, she didn't breach the NDA because she wanted to continue to receive payment. And this only came to light when that payment ceased. An NDA is not going to stop her from filing criminal charges against Vince McMahon if that is what she so desired to do. And if at that point in time they say, well, you've breached the NDA, all right, maybe they're not going to continue to pay her the money in exchange for signing the NDA, but that's not stopping her from being able to pursue any criminal wrongdoing that may have been done by Vince McMahon or World Wrestling Entertainment. It's where I have a little bit of an issue with ultimately trying to figure out what was going on in this particular matter, or what is that she's looking to do. The idea that you're weaponizing an NDA is you need to keep your mouth shut or else. And it's that or else piece that I'm really trying to grasp. That if they're saying you have to sign this non-disclosure agreement, we're doing horrible things to you, and if you go publicly about this, we're going to fire you in some sort of retaliatory manner, you probably have other legal recourse that you can go and pursue. I do kind of lean on Scott's piece that it looks like they're trying to push this to some sort of private arbitration where she would get a monetary settlement and this information would not get disclosed, nor would it go in front of a jury.
Interesting. So that adds some different layers to it that I wasn't certainly considering. So you think it's not that she wasn't abused or certain things like that, but you think there was maybe some there was a little bit more consensual stuff going
I
on.
don't know if it, so. I don't know if their relationship was consensual or non. I read the allegations that she had filed. I read McMahon's defense,
Mm-hmm.
the court filings, and the court filings on his side painted a far different story, which is obviously going to happen when there's two parties involved in a lawsuit. Each party is going to say their piece. That the relationship may have started consensual and then moved to a position where it wasn't, or it started at a non-consensual position and maintained that pace across the board. That's different than this NDA concept, which is, well, I'm not going to disclose any of this information because I'm legally prohibited, or else I'm going to face retaliatory action. It doesn't really pass the straight face test that you're going to face retaliatory action because you've brought to light something that was illegal. That is not the purpose of a non-disclosure agreement. It is not preventing somebody from going to the authorities. That's the part where I would have to look a little bit further into what the purpose of this was. I understand this notion of silencing employees from trying to be there's whistleblower laws that protect them. There's all sorts of mechanisms that have been put in place to ensure that an employee is not suffering sustained abuse going forward. In this particular matter, because she does have a fiduciary incentive for her side to be triumphant, winning in the court of public opinion is always going to be favorable.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Interesting, Robert. I'll be intrigued to see what more unfolds with this, and if you get further clarity and perspective on it, and get your thoughts on it, because wow. Watching that on this weekend was pretty wild, and first time we get to see her speak and everything like that. So
and by the way, it's absolutely, it's difficult to watch someone who has been the victim, especially in this particular sort of very sensitive situation. It's also very, very tough to think that these are the kinds of actions that a person may need to take who has been the victim of some sort of sexual assault or sexual misconduct, that they have to be thrust into a public spotlight. And I know one of the biggest issues that she had was that she was publicly outed by the Wall Street Journal,
right?
That they put her name out there. And that in and of itself is wrong. That's one of those things where you hear it and you see it and you're like, this is that piece is really not right. Victims absolutely have rights, and part of that is you have a right to your own privacy and confidentiality, and you should be able to go forward in that regard. I don't know that necessarily ties to the NDA component, but there is no way to pivot.
There isn't.
Thanks, Dom. It's so good to be back, and this is where we're at. But there are other there's positive stuff going on in the world of wrestling. Tonight is Dynamite. I know on Raw Monday night. I'm just taking a quick look to see if there's anything of major significant note.
Yes. While you do that,
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm so excited.
All right. I did a little sit dance in public for that.
Yes. Roman Reigns stinks, and the CM Punk storyline is dying a very slow death.
Listen, I thought Raw was dying a very slow death overall.
Raw was an odd episode because the obviously the vision injuries, they really are the Springfield softball team playing for the nuclear power plant. Like losing Seth Rollins, losing Braun Breaker, losing Bronson Reed, you're now stuck with Austin Theory and Logan Paul. And God bless Paul Heyman for immediately latching on to Brock Lesnar and being like, well, we're doing the open challenge piece. And the smart thing about that open challenge piece is they announce the dates of the next places that Brock's going to be. So it's a way to advertise that Brock's going to be on these shows without really him having to do anything.
Yeah, that whole thing though, it just felt so like heavy-handed promotional. And I know you want to get those dates out in front of the public and everything, but it all this combined with what they did, like some of the segments, that Liv Morgan Dom segment, and, her picking that, all that just felt flat.
It felt very flat. That crowd in Atlanta did not seem to understand what was going on for a lot of that show. The Punk stuff, where he's trying to maintain this Finn Balor feud, which is an interesting story in theory to
Yeah.
be telling, but now it's clouded by this notion of, and then there's Roman who's not here. So now I'm going to have to carry both sides of that feud, which is why I was not in favor of this to begin with. I said that's exactly what's going to happen. Punk's going to have to carry the water for both sides. And when Roman shows up, the audience is going to be so excited to see Roman Reigns. They're not necessarily going to remember, oh, yeah, maybe we're not supposed to like him, or they're going to be resentful towards him. It's a muddied story. The thing that wasn't muddied was the end of Raw with the AJ Styles farewell.
Yeah.
They brought all those people out there. They flew in Frankie Kazarian. You brought in Nakamura. You brought in the Good Brothers. You had, Abyss.
Yes.
And really didn't do anything with anybody. AJ gave a very good promo to stop a lot of the talk that was going on out there.
Mm-hmm.
That, well, I took the gloves off and then I put them on. I don't know if this was always the plan.
Really?
There's two sides of this. Either AJ did what he did to keep his options open at the Rumble,
Mm-hmm.
and then they subsequently went to him and they're like, hey, this sent a message that we didn't want sent. So we're going to fix this by having you go out there, explain that you wanted to sort of retire in Atlanta in front of your family and say goodbye to the fans. And then here's your big surprise. We're putting you in the Hall of Fame, and it's a guaranteed paycheck for the rest of your life.
So you think there might have still been some incentive for AJ to continue wrestling? Is that what you mean? And then like WWE came out with another offer.
So I don't know
potentially?
that this is the strange thing about it. I genuinely do not think that AJ Styles was actively considering wrestling again. He didn't fully close the door by putting the gloves back on. So the idea there may be a paycheck in 3-5 years for a one-off thing, you never know. You get a WWE talent that winds up getting really hot, and they go, "This would be a really good match to put that guy in there with AJ Styles." Hey, maybe we can go down that path. Saudi decides that they want it. Like maybe we do Saudi. So there's a couple of different avenues. I don't think that AJ was considering going to AEW.
Okay.
But as soon as the gloves went back on and he went into the back, the internet all started to book a series of AEW dream matches going, one more match with Kenny would be amazing. AJ and the Bucks teaming up again would be a lot of fun. AJ and Ospreay, AJ and Swerve. And if you're Tony Khan, you're going, I could financially make that work, and I could make that a very interesting proposition to AJ Styles. So I think WWE kind of worked themselves into a shoot. That this was never the plan, but then all of a sudden it was like, well, maybe. And now you're like, uh-oh.
It's like back in WCW when the Outsiders, they thought they were going to go back to WWE because I think the fake Razor and Diesel were there.
Yep.
And they got their contracts up.
That's exactly what this feels like. So I would not be surprised if in 5-10 years, like the ghost of Bruce Pritchard is telling this story to Conrad.
Yeah, right. We'll have to wait and see. Hey, are we gonna see any ghosts tonight in Denver, Colorado, Robert? It's AEW Dynamite.
It
Wow.
is AEW. You already played the song. You know to play it again.
I won't.
There's a preview here. I am looking at it now. MJF and Hangman decide to stipulate. That was another thing that was totally botched. That
Yes.
the notion was MJF gets to pick the stipulation, but then Hangman was like, "We know it's going to be a Texas death
That's
match."
a step match.
No, we don't. What was the point of that? It was
Yeah.
such a strange, like, beat. And if it's MJF gets to pick the stipulation, and the stipulation is ultimately that if Hangman loses, he will never challenge for the AEW World Title again. Then the stipulation should be a one party has to do a million jumping jacks, and the other one has to do zero, and then the match begins. Okay, one guy gets to use a shotgun. Like it's just, it's odd. It's a very odd thing, but we're going to tune in and then we're going to hear it. And if Max picks any kind of competitive match, he's a babyface. It's the same thing we ran into with Fletcher.
Right.
Like it has to be such a heel favoring biased match to make any kind of decision whatsoever feel justified by the heel. Because if Max says, "Yeah, all right, Texas Death Match, no holds barred, no rules, falls count anywhere, inferno match, like whatever," audience is gonna pop. Like, this is gonna be awesome. You're never supposed to think what a heel does is awesome. Willow and Harley versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford,
Babes of Wrath.
going for a rematch for the Babes of Wrath. If you're going to that well a second time, Dom, I'm thinking something's going to have to happen.
Thinking we're gonna get a title change tonight with the Mega Bad, if that's what they're really called.
Well, win, lose, or draw, Harley Cameron will be a part of the BRCW Women's Rumble this Sunday,
Whoa.
live in Boca Raton, Florida.
Shameless plug.
Yes. This next thing, I don't know if you just made this up or
No,
what.
I did not.
There's really a match called the Mile High Madness match, where anything goes.
Anything. Does this
So-
mean it's a Anarchy in the Arena, Robert? That's kind of what I'm thinking.
On a show where MJF is going to pick a stipulation, there's a match on here where the stipulation is every stipulation ever.
Right.
And it is Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, Ricochet, Toa Leona, and Bishop Khan
That's 5.
versus Jack Perry, who's not Jungle Jack Perry,
Nope.
Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson,
Correct.
and then Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz, the Rascals, who I thought were heels because didn't they attack Eddie Kingston in a parking lot?
Wait, when did this happen?
Didn't this happen on Collision a couple weeks ago? I don't
Well,
know.
then it didn't happen.
And I guess it never happened. Then I guess I imagined and hallucinated it. Look, it's a lot of really talented performers, a lot of people I really like in the Young Bucks and Jack Perry. So I feel like it'll probably be a really fun, just this is going to eat up a lot of time kind of schmoz. We got John Moxley
I thought you were
versus,
going to say John Elway because they're in Denver.
yes, Dom. I thought that former Denver Broncos great John Elway, Cartman's real father, was going to show up and randomly compete, defending the Continental title against El Clone.
Clone. Is it clone or clon? I'm still trying to decide that. I think they're
It's
still
Quang.
trying to decide it. Quang.
Moxie's a super over babyface. This makes total sense. Everyone involved in Moxley's inner circle are super babyfaces, which is why we're getting Gabe Kidd versus Orange Cassidy.
100%. I hope they unmask El Clon. I just want to know who he is. Just move on from the angles.
A
basically what I'm
dude.
getting at.
I don't mind. I think there's something really funny about the fact that El Clone existed to be the evil doppelganger of Hologram, but then Hologram went down with an injury, and now this guy is just stuck with this gimmick.
He's like Noob Sabat in Mortal Kombat.
I'm going to assume that I know what that means. So yes,
Oh, cool. Some people might get that.
I'm sure people will. I know Sub-Zero.
Well, that's the original. Sub-Zero was the original Noob Sabat, or vice versa. Fun fact. The original Sub-Zero turned into Noob Sabat. There we go. I'm a nerd.
Brody King versus Mark Davis.
Yes.
Somehow on a show where we're literally talking about pro wrestling, you somehow made it infinitely nerdier.
I did. I don't. Jeez. Sorry.
Brody King is a big dude. Mark Davis is a big dude. These two guys beating the hell out of each other should be a hell of a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun. Yes. And Brody will be super over, I think. Super duper over.
I'm sure he will be super duper over. What's also super duper over is this episode of Rumor and Innuendo.
Oh.
Yes.
Clever.
We covered it all. We will be back tomorrow. I will be back, as will Dominic D'Angelo. And we will be discussing the fallout of Dynamite and all the other exciting wrestling news.
Yes.
And you can catch us, as you do every Monday through Friday, at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including the WW Creative _ISH X account, the at Dominic D'Angelo X account, the at SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on Podcast Heat and Studio One Sports. So, on behalf of the only man in that bar currently doing a live wrestling podcast, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
I don't know. We might have some copycats coming up. Get some coffee.
Shh.